Coming up on this special Hump Day edition of Don't Panic, we've got the week's news from the middle of the week, including Snapchat becoming a sunglasses company. It's kind of weird. We also talk about who wants to buy Twitter. Definitely not me. We're going to talk about those Facebook inflated numbers. If you still have a Yahoo account, you probably shouldn't. And a number of other tech things. It's going to be an exciting episode of Don't Panic, and it's going to start for you right now. This is Don't Panic, episode number 142, recorded September 28th, 2016, on SnapGlasses, tweet sales, and too many views. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Don't Panic, the technology podcast that definitely won the debate. I'm Sean Jennings, joined as always by our two trusted moderators, Colby and Dan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's Wednesday. I would say I'm
Yeah, we're definitely taking shots off stage, just like what's his name was.
I'll just try to keep my sniffles to a minimum.
Yeah, it
Sean
sounds
has
like
pneumonia.
you have a little something.
I do.
Sean
I have
has
a cold.
pneumonia.
Sean doesn't have the stamina to continue to be the host.
I'm gonna tell my boss that. That's great. I just don't have the stamina. What are you trying to say?
Listen, Colby, when you've
I'm
done
kidding.
142 episodes of Don't Panic,
it's really hot in these space age pantsuits I wear. No, yes, I do have a bit of a cold that I am rocking, and it is unpleasant. But you know,
Yeah, it's that time of year, which
is.
really snuck up on me. Like all the people around me are getting sick, and I'm nervous.
what was weird for me
you
was
can get cold in Texas, Sean?
oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. It turns out illness works everywhere. Actually, the funny thing is down here you can get, Zika and West Nile and the real fun stuff. You don't necessarily get up in the north. No, what's interesting is I already got my flu shot like 3 weeks ago, which I thought was really early.
Oh wow!
Which surprised me, but they're free at work, and so I'm like, hell yeah, let's do that. I want one of those. I asked for 2. They said that's not how it works. So, thankfully they didn't let me get them. But so what else is going on, guys? We weren't here last week, and we weren't obviously here Monday. We postponed for the debate. Obviously, when over 80 million people are watching the debate, they're probably not going to watch us. So,
I would have watched us,
counter
though.
programming. Well, you were watching. What were you watching?
I was watching one of my favorite authors read children's books to us live on stream inside of a blanket fort. Specifically to avoid the debate. Not because, I have watched, in my adult life, post-18, I have watched every single presidential debate, I'm pretty sure. I have not watched all the primaries. But I liken this to, when you get an email, and just from the from address of the email, you know that the email could be really bad. So you just don't open it. Because the email, it's not going to be good news. Whatever it is, it could either be not that bad or it could be terrible. So I just decided not to open the email.
You sent it right to spam. You weren't...
Well, yeah. I sent it to my assistant, the New York Times, and then the next day I read about, the executive summary.
Well, here's
and to be honest, it seemed to be on the not that bad spectrum of kind of bad to horrible. So that seemed pretty good.
I'll tell you the bad news, which is I would say most are in agreement that the debates will likely get worse, not better, as we go through the next 1 vice presidential and 2 presidential. So, maybe you picked the wrong one.
The vice presidential debate's going to be a total snooze fest. It's going to be 2 grandpas talking about One's going to be basically Barney, and the other one's just going to try to be the responsible adult that is the father of the petulant child that is Donald Trump. That's what's, yeah.
I don't know. Well, first of all, I'm a junkie for this stuff.
Donald's a great guy, so he didn't mean that you're a slobby pig. He was just acting out. I'm sorry about that. That's gonna. What's his name? Mike Pence.
And then Tim Kaine will just start speaking Spanish and pull out his harmonica and play it for everybody, and then that'll be.
He's just gonna tell some dad jokes.
Yeah.
And
he literally
honestly,
is the most pleasant guy ever.
Oh,
He's just nice. He's just mild. It's
right.
great.
Yeah.
And I think Mike Pence, if you looked up the word white guy in the dictionary, there's a picture of Mike Pence next to him. Like, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But we don't get too political here. That's, this is not a politics show, but yeah, it was
that's what I did.
Well, what I want to ask you guys, so you didn't watch the debate. Colby, did you watch the debate? I want to know how you watched it.
I did. I started watching it on YouTube, and it instantly crapped out. Like 30 seconds in, the stream crapped out. Like, I'm sure it got better later, but I just switched over to regular. Like, I watched it on CBS or something.
If I was going to watch it, I would have watched it on the Twitter app on the Apple TV, because apparently it was streaming there.
Well, so I watched. I have cable because I'm fancy, and because I'm a moron. And so I looked and saw that the. Sorry, I'm multitasking, which I shouldn't do. But what I saw was that I did check out. So the NFL is on Twitter now, right, on Thursday nights. That was like their big first kind of live test, and it was really neat because the quality and the sort of lack of lag that they had, I was actually incredibly impressed with. Now, I didn't watch the debate, so I would assume it was similar. But,
yeah.
I've watched a lot of NFL games on other platforms streaming, and I thought Twitter did technologically the best.
That's cool.
It was hard to find.
Yeah. This probably wasn't relevant for the debate because there weren't commercials during the debate, but like, what did they have commercials on it?
They do, and I'm not exactly sure how they divvy up the ad sales. I know Twitter does get to sell a portion of the ads. That's why they pay the NFL all the money. They make back some of that in ads. Mm-hmm. But what surprised me was they weren't filling the breaks. So if you've ever watched like ESPN streaming, you know how there's always that little gap where there's no commercial,
right,
but the channel has to come. Those were those were big. Those were like a minute, 2 minutes, like not like 5 seconds. So they were long, which is ad time they didn't sell. So I don't know if that was the NFL didn't sell it or Twitter didn't sell it, or I don't know exactly the split. But it was surprising to me. I thought they could have put in more ads, which is something I think I've ever said before.
Right. I remember that same thing when I was watching like the Olympics streams on the NBC app. Like, you'd get a minute of commercials and then a minute of silence, and I felt uncomfortable. Like, I don't know if I liked it better or worse. It just felt weird to have the TV on and it's like not making noise, but you are waiting for something to happen. I don't know.
Yeah, but it was
crazy.
It was neat to see the debate streamed in so many places. The debate. So that was cool. But it meant we didn't have a show. So we're going to have a show tonight. Any other banter-related things?
I have a request. I don't see it in our rundown that got deleted.
Oh, well then, by all means.
But can't we talk about going to Mars?
Well, we can. The upside is it's a cool story. The downside is I paid zero attention to it. So, Dan, you're going to have to...
I paid 10% attention to it.
Oh, boy. We're going to knock this out of the park.
I did watch the little movie.
Oh, Colby watched the movie. Colby's a new expert.
Introduce the story, Colby. Tell us what this is about. What's this? We're all going to Mars?
I didn't read anything associated with this. I just saw the movie on Facebook. But apparently SpaceX, not Facebook, SpaceX put out this... I was surprised Facebook even ran their videos, considering they like blew up their satellite or whatever. No, SpaceX ran this, like... I assume there was other stuff that went along with it. I don't know if there was like a presentation or something. But they put out this like I don't know what you call it, like hypothetical video, like I want to say mock-up, but I can't decide if that's the right word, about like going to Mars. So they basically announced their like long game for going to Mars, and there was like this big fake like CGI ship, and it shows it like launching and taking off, and then like refueling in orbit, and then like traveling across the solar system to Mars, and then landing on Mars, and then people get out. And it was like, oh, woo. I don't know. So I think the thing that people were into was that like a real company was talking about like actually going to Mars. seems kind of cool.
Yeah, one of those, Elon Musk, he went up and I know did a little presentation and presented one of his kind of far future plans of, while not solving every problem associated, at least putting forward something a little more than thought out than just, we're going to Mars. And, there was some thought put behind it.
Yeah, except that I did not watch the video and I only read people's articles about the video, but apparently he said we're just going to get there in 90 days, despite the fact that no one has ever thought of a way to get there in 90 days, because the faster you go, the more energy you need to accelerate to that speed, and the more energy you need to slow down so you don't just crash into Mars once you get there. So how is that going to work? And then how do you survive in space for 90 days? Do you need 90 days worth of food? What happens to a human body when it's in zero gravity for 90 days? Or what happens when it's living on Mars for its entire life in a third of Earth's gravity or whatever it is? And then there's this line there are two things that I thought were especially tone deaf. I think Elon Musk is in extreme danger of, who else does this? Eric Schmidt. We just say something that is possibly correct, but is so not coached.
Like the Facebook take the blood from young people guy.
Yeah, yes. So Elon Musk said two things. First, that the trip, despite the fact that it's 90 days, wouldn't be so bad because they would have, quote, fun games and stuff for people to play on their way there. It's no, it's not about the fun games. It's what happens if the spacecraft breaks down and you all die. That's what you're worried about. What happens if your body just stops functioning? And then the other one was in the same vein, yeah, there's a problem with radiation and solar flares, but it's not. I don't think it's that bad. It's you can't just say I don't think it's that bad. If a solar flare pops up, you just can't not be shielded. So, or you're just gonna send a bunch of corpses to Mars. So
yeah, that was kind of his takeaway was you will almost definitely die if you're one of the first people to do this. He felt pretty confident in that. And then of course someone asked him, "Well, would you be one of the first few people?" And he goes, "No, I have a family. I want to continue to live." And I'm that's encouraging.
Yeah. I think I totally believe that. I didn't read anything about it or...
do you remember those moments from the video, though?
What moments?
Those moments where he was talking about how likely it is that you're going to die?
The video I saw, I just saw the, simulation
marketing
video.
Promotional
There was
video.
no...
Oh, you didn't
there
watch,
was just
the
music.
whole...
Right. I guess there was some narration about what was happening, but it wasn't Elon Musk giving his presentation. It was just this is happening. And so one of the things I was a little disappointed about is that it didn't talk at all about what life on the ship would be like, because that's what I think is interesting.
Fun and games.
Yeah. He did talk about how he thinks that the colonists of Mars should be the ones to decide if Mars should be terraformed. And he said that the colonists of Mars should have a direct democracy.
Well, future king of Mars, Elon Musk, he gets to make these decisions. Emperor of Mars.
What do you think about this, Sean?
Well, I think both of you would say Sean's going to be cynical about this and say it's stupid. And you're completely wrong, and let me tell you why. I think this is awesome, and I think we need more of this. So this past Friday, I went to the Johnson Space Center here in Houston, right? You may not know this. Houston, the first word ever spoken on the moon. Of course, they said Houston, the eagle has landed, or whatever it was. But Houston was first word ever spoken on the moon. Mission control, of course. All the astronauts are trained here, and all that. Space station was built here. And I'm not one for science, but it was very encouraging to... I know that sounds terrible. It was really inspiring to see and meet the scientists and go in the buildings. They have like a catwalk where you actually see like they have full-size mock-ups of the International Space Station they used to train the astronauts and like figure out how to fix stuff if it breaks, and you could actually see them working. You saw them building, and they actually had the SpaceX Falcon capsule that they send up to the space station. They had a full-size one there. The capsule that NASA's making to go to Mars. They had all that. And it was just very inspiring and encouraging to see people getting excited about thinking towards the future. And, do I really care about, whether or not we will actually go to Mars or what the problems are with it? I actually don't care. I just like the idea that we're having the discussions and we're talking about it and we're thinking about the problems, even if we don't have answers. At least we're logically. I give Elon Musk a lot of credit because you're right. It sounds like an insane, like, evil maniac when he talks. But you know what? At least he's talking about it, and I think that's kind of cool. That it's getting people trying to figure out, like, we could just stay here on Earth and suck, but instead let's put some mental energy and some money behind figuring out these problems. And that to me is very encouraging. So actually, I'm glad. I like when they do these big pronouncements and all that. I find that a really positive step for us as a country.
So the one other thing I just remembered is he didn't talk about. So one of the articles I read mentioned how there in the 60s, like all the nations of the world, asterisk like North Korea and Myanmar and all those places, as normally they don't agree to anything, agreed that we have actual planet colonization treaties amongst all the nations on Earth, but they exist between nations, which I'll get back to. But one of them was like, you can't contaminate other planets with Earth shit. Like, you can't take Earth microbes and stuff to Mars. And if SpaceX just like starts shooting humans at Mars, we will do that because SpaceX doesn't give a fuck about treaties or contaminating the environment. Like, you just have to look at the history of capitalism in the United States to realize that none of these people give any fucks about contaminating the environment. So this idea that space travel, we'll just let Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos handle it, and Mark Zuckerberg with his crazy solar plane. It's like, well, that's kind of cool, but if this is just like the pure capitalist libertarian approach to colonialism, I think, yeah, it's going to be like the traditional colonial era of England all over again. There will be no rules, and everyone's just going to get exploited. As far as we know, there's no one on Mars to exploit, thankfully, but we certainly would exploit everything else on there. That's another thing he didn't really talk about.
Did he give any sort of like timetable? Like, this will be ready in 2025?
He said, what did he say? It was somewhere between 40 and 100 years. And I'm not saying that he said 40 to 100, but that was.
No, I think that's exactly what he said. He said it will be from now, as soon as 40 years from now, could be as long as 100 years from now.
Gotcha.
Depending on how fast technology progresses. So not soon. I don't even think because NASA has their own. What's interesting is they have the private programs, but NASA also, by the way, has their own Go to Mars program. They built a capsule, they're testing it, they're doing all the same stuff just in parallel. And NASA's, I think, is about 30 or 40 years out.
40 years from now, presumably, Elon Musk's children are going to be grown up, no matter what age they are now.
The prince and princesses of Mars.
Yeah, he could go to Mars then.
Well, by then he will have figured out how to he'll have Peter Thiel's young people blood, and he'll live forever, so it won't really be a problem. He and all the other rich tech guys.
I feel like talking about this stuff always makes me think of Seven Eves, but I feel like there was a character in Seven Eves who is very clearly like an Elon Musk-esque character. I don't know why that was relevant. Yeah,
yeah, there's something off about that guy in the best kind of way. So
yeah, right.
But it's cool. And look, and what's great about Elon Musk is, dude wants to build cars, so he starts building cars. He invents Hyperloop, and then is too busy, So he just gives it away to anybody who wants to figure it out. And then, next month is when he already said they're doing the solar roof announcement, where they've developed some kind of solar roof where it's like regular tiles, so it's not like a big panel, but it collects solar, and then they've got their own battery that collects it. Like, dude's whack.
I think the solar stuff is really cool. Like, thinking like near future, like about like things I'm excited for by the time like I'm interested in like owning a building. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll never be interested in owning a building, but theoretically in like 5 to 10 years, I don't want to pay for electricity like some kind of chump.
Like a chump.
Yep.
Wow. Speaking of paying for things that we shouldn't be paying for and shouldn't be spending money on, let's talk about these stupid Snapchat glasses.
Let's do that. And Dan, we're going to have a fun debate on this because I might not agree with you on that. But we're going to talk about it. So Snapchat, by the way, has a new name. It is now Snap Incorporated is actually the name of the company as a whole. They have an app called Snapchat. And they announced Spectacles. And I'll let that sink in. And what they are is they're essentially sunglasses with a camera in it. Now, I know you're thinking, Sean, that sounds super lame, and you're only half right. So the way it works is it has what they call a 115-degree lens, which they say closely approximates your field of vision. I'm playing a video now on screen if you're watching the video version.
On the camera, not on the glasses.
Right. No, all the so it's not like Google Glass.
I was going to say, most sunglasses I've owned do closely approximate human vision.
You're not wrong. So it will have a single button you push, and it will begin to record a snap. It's got the 150-degree lens, and let's see, where else were there details? Hang on, there was a different article that was a little bit better. And then it will directly post those snaps to your Snapchat account, unsurprisingly. And so they will cost $130, be available sometime this fall. The important thing to note is that they are not available for wide release. It is a limited release product, so they won't be in Walmart. You won't be able to go easily buy them. They automatically stop after 10 seconds, but if you want additional recording time, you can tap it again for another 10-second increment for up to 30 seconds at a time. There's a little light on it that lets you know it's recording, including one that faces your eye to let you know it's recording, and it will automatically upload via Bluetooth. They do have storage in them, so if you don't have your phone, it will record it to the glasses to be uploaded later. They say you get about a day of battery life, but they do have a little charging case you can put them in. So there you go. Snapchat making sunglasses with a camera in them. Dan, you don't sound impressed.
No, it's just like, especially, and I was thinking of this as we were talking about the Mars thing, coming off of that story, like, okay, there's this company, and they're going to make all of these products, and they're starting with an app where you can send pictures that before you never would have taken, but now for some reason you are taking these pictures and you're sending them to your friends, but they're getting deleted. Okay, and now they're going to make glasses where you can take those pictures and those videos that you never would have taken before because there was no reason to, and make even more of them. That's the whole point, right? Like, yeah, I don't get it.
I think what's interesting about this to me is I, as I'm sure you've noticed, have a personal pet peeve around social companies that go into weird places. Like weird brand extensions for, like, why is Twitter streaming NFL games? Things that take them away from their core business, I think, are bad for social channels. I don't think these sunglasses take them particularly far away from their main purpose, which is people sending content to other people. I think it's
that they never want to keep.
But that's okay, because that's what makes them popular. That's what's good for their business. Dan, I am telling you, this is like
you think, and the other thing is these sunglasses are like they are intense.
oh,
Like
they're cool.
they don't look as bad as the Google glasses, which they are exactly the same as functionality wise, but you can't wear sunglasses that intense that often. Like I can't walk down the street in shorts and a t-shirt wearing those sunglasses. I can't.
I've seen people
no one
in weirder
can.
sunglasses. Come on.
So like there is one that's like
and be stylish. Like you either have to be like 100% ready to go with like your pants and like your crazy shirt and those sunglasses, or you just don't wear them. That's my personal, because I'm an expert in fashion, of course. That is my opinion.
I mean, to be honest, of the three of us, I'm certainly last. That's that's a fact.
Now, so a sort of unrelated thing is that I'm looking at their like marketing website for these things, and all the promo photos, like the people wearing them are naked. So like maybe you don't have to wear clothes at all, or they're not. I don't know if they're fully naked, but like
first of all, they look like
that they're
generated, and those glasses in those pictures certainly are computer generated. Agreed.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Nail polish and lipstick is photoshopped on 100%.
Why do you have to hate everything, Dan?
I just hate everything that Snapchat does. That's different.
Why can't you just be cool with the youngsters?
He's a crotchety New Yorker. Living in his pre-war apartment.
I don't know. Maybe it'll be big. But if Google Glass didn't take off, why will this take off? Just because it can only do Snapchat, whereas presumably Google Glass could also do Snapchat?
Well, I will tell you the number. Okay, here's 3 reasons. And by the way, I haven't thought of them all yet, so let's see if I can get through all 3. 3 reasons why Spectacles will be a much bigger success than Google Glass. 1, they cost 1/10 of the price. Nobody bought Google Glass because they were $1,000. Okay, at $130, that's actually I think surprisingly reasonable. 2, I think that Google Glass did not do a good job of defining what it was for, right? Because it did a bunch of stuff, but no one really. The camera actually was probably the best feature of Google Glass, and Spectacles are very limited in what they can do, and I think that works to their advantage. Number 3. I think, Dan, you don't give enough credit to how much people want to share in their lives, but don't want to keep that content forever. Like I think that is such a winning combination of volume, low quality, high volume content. The best way to do it is something you're wearing a lot or often or is easy to shoot and share with. And I think these are much closer than pulling a phone out of your pocket. I'm not saying it's the best way to do it, and I'm saying they'll probably iterate and tweak them. But I think for now it's a step in the right direction. And it's low risk for Snapchat.
It feels like... Yeah.
I mean, what's the downside to them doing this? Google took a lot of crap for Google Glass, but that's also because they promised the world and didn't deliver. So I think if Snapchat just comes out and says, look, they're fun sunglasses, we're going to sell a few of them, we don't really care if they get popular, we just want people to snap more and to think we're a cool company. I'm not going to fault them for that.
Yeah.
I could see this being a thing with like the younger folks. It's not to say
old.
that I know, but people younger than us,
teens and tweens.
Yeah, because I don't think one. I think those people are way more into Snapchat. At least to hear, I don't know, things like the internet chatter, like. People in their teens and maybe even early 20s at this point are like way more into Snapchat than we are. Also, I feel like fashion stuff in high school is a little different than like the fashion that Dan's talking about. And perhaps is, I don't know, like lots of things can make things fashionable and they aren't necessarily aesthetic. So, like, if other people have these things, they could be fashionable, and they aren't. I agree, they're kind of weird looking, but they're not weird looking in the way that Google Glass is weird looking in a like, I don't know, like robot future like nerd way. They're weird looking in like kind of a colorful, it's a different sort of like branding, I guess, or persona for sure. So I think I agree with you, Sean, in that I feel like they have certainly more of a shot at being something or anything at all than Google Glass did.
For me, the biggest downside is that it sucks that they only post to Snapchat.
Right.
Yeah, like I don't want to buy hardware that the only thing I can do with it is take videos that I can never save. Although I guess you can save them through the app.
Yeah, so and by the way, it does specifically say, because I know you're both big Snapchat guys, but the new memories feature that they rolled out, where you can save snaps permanently and pull snaps from your camera roll, it saves them to there first, and then that's where you can then post them to Snapchat. So you will be able to save the videos, and I assume then you just save it to your camera roll, upload it to Instagram or Facebook or whatever. So you probably can do that.
Okay.
I think if nothing else, it's a cool experiment. Like, I think I would take way more pictures if my camera was here all the time.
Sure.
Than I do now, having it be in my pocket. And that's not to say that I want a camera to be here all the time, but if it were, I would take more pictures.
So we have on Facebook, Brian Ash comments a real life example of what might happen if you're wearing spectacles. He says, quote, "It's cool if I wear these sunglasses while I meet your parents, right? I'm just trying to create content." Yeah, may not be appropriate for all situations. That is certainly true.
I'm also imagining some like fascinating like high school cheating on test scandals where
oh my god!
But it has
no
display, so what are you gonna do? Oh, I guess you could telegraph the test.
I guess, yeah.
But I guess that
stream the test to your friends at home who have it, or your friends who have it later in the day or something. I don't know.
I guess the upside is that they look so ridiculous that
right.
You're not going to be like, no, they're normal sunglasses. Really, I mean, ignore the flashing light
inside while I'm taking a test.
Yeah, exactly. My eyes hurt. I'm going to wear the ones with the big cameras on them. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen. I'll wear that to my next. So my question is, which of the three of us is going to take the spectacles challenge? Pick up a pair. I'll do it. I think it's neat. The problem is I don't do anything worth wearing them. You know, my life is so boring.
Stream your next trip to the Houston Space Center.
I certainly could, but it'll mostly just be like, oh, Sean's watching more Netflix. You know, like that. Sean's doing the pod. You can see it from my side as we do the show.
That would be interesting.
But again, at $130, it's not outrageous. So I think I want to know how many of them they're going to sell. They say limited release, but we'll have to wait and see exactly what that means. As I said, coming at some point this fall, which could probably mean as late as December, but we'll have to wait and see. And thanks to the folks watching and commenting live on Facebook, facebook.com/don'tpanicshow. We're live there this evening, so if you're watching live, comment. Let us know your thoughts as we go through. We're going to move.
I think what would be a more worthwhile thing that Snapchat could do is make it so you don't ever have to think about whether you're going to save a picture or video ever again. Because I bet, how often do you ever look back at a picture or video you've taken on your phone, given how many we take? Like, almost never. So you could just, like, do what Amazon does and make it so that the retrieval time on that stuff is, like, really long, like an hour. Like, oh, you want to look at that photo you took 5 years ago? We'll email it to you in an hour. Mm-hmm. But you're not paying like extra money. You're not worrying about how much space is left in your plan. Instead of having everything impermanent, what if you made the Snapchat antithesis and made everything permanent?
It's terrifying. There's this show you can watch on Netflix. I think it's called it's like a British TV show or a British like mini series, like repeating, sort of like Sherlock, like that format of show. I think it's called Black Mirror, or something like that. But one of the episodes is like basically this, like that, like everyone has an implant in their eyes that records like every second of their entire lives.
That's gonna
totally
happen.
bizarre
That's
and
awesome.
upsetting. Yeah. No,
That's gonna
I
happen.
mean, you should watch this. You should watch the episode.
No, don't
Chuck.
ruin it. Don't. I want to be optimistic.
So there was a Radiolab episode about this too. I think it was Radiolab, where a guy who's been sort of a Google Glass enthusiast since the 90s, like he's had this idea. I think he even eventually went to work on Google Glass, but he's been wearing a computer on his head for over a decade, or almost 2 decades even. And so he gets so much value out of being able to recall anything that anyone has ever told him, knowing exactly, like, oh, last time I saw this person, their children were just going to college. I should ask them about how their kids are doing in college. Enhances life so much that he can't take it off now. And the point in the podcast was he's better at being social with that than he was without it. Almost scary good, because he remembers everything you told him and he can ask you about like past conversations. Is that bad though? Like, if it's not bad, like, how is that bad?
That guy's thing was like he takes notes, right? Like he has like
he has a
pocket keyboard,
but he can also pull it up right in his glasses.
Right. But he's like typing, like he's not like recording everything. He's like physically like typing out
but
stuff.
But soon he certainly could.
Sure. Yeah.
So
I don't know.
think
like,
if everyone recorded everything, human society would evolve. Like, it wouldn't be socially. Like, right now, it is a piece of social currency to take the time to remember something that someone told you, so that later on you can be like, oh, remember that thing. And that won't be as valuable in the future because anyone can do that. Just like anyone can keep in touch with their high school friends. Like, everyone now feels like they kept in touch with their high school friends because you see something they post on Facebook sometimes. It's not as, like, weird if you saw someone 10 years after high school 30 years ago. It's not nearly as weird now as it was then. But we didn't do anything different, just like society has changed.
So I think there's thinking about this guy's reality where he like is taking these notes himself, and the thought of like recording everything. I think maybe there's something different there, because like I feel like taking notes like that is still a sort of subjective act. And so like much the same way as like looking back on a memory would be, it's like sort of subjective, right? Like it isn't full fidelity. And so it's like really an enhanced memory, I would think, for him. Whereas if you have an actual recording, like you could go back and notice something you didn't notice before. Which is, or notice something that wasn't real, right? And I mean, I'm thinking about the episode of that TV show. Like this is kind of what that gets into, where people go back over these moments in their lives and like have all this like anxiety and like basically lose it, because they can like just relive these moments in their lives, and like the worst moments in their lives in full fidelity, and also the best ones. But I don't know. I
focus on the negative.
What's up?
Humans tend to focus on the negative.
Sure. Right. And
you could also imagine a program that looks back over these recordings and summarizes it for you, and you ask about it, like, what did Colby and I talk about last time I talked with him? Like, a computer pretty soon could tell me, like, oh, well, you talked about cocktails and blah, 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 blah. And Colby's going to, like, I don't know, Japan in July or something like that. You're like, oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I guess what I was trying to get at is it's like what he's doing is more like memory than what.
Yeah, I see that.
Full fidelity recording would be like. I think that would be something drastically different. Like that guy has like memory superpowers, but still couldn't like easily be flawed, or like it's still like his experience of what happened. Whereas this is something else, and perhaps something weirder. I don't know. I think it's up to you, listener, to decide how you.
Yeah, it is a really interesting discussion as we get towards. I should probably look. I think over 3,000 photos on my phone. I never delete any of them, ever, and even crap ones. I keep them because storage is essentially infinite these days, and I think I will lean more towards the negative side. I agree. I see the advantages, but the problem I have is that when you record everything, you might as well record nothing. I think there's too much noise, and I think there's not enough context. It's interesting. You guys know I worked in an archive for a year. A fascinating time, a really cool job, seeing the pictures and the letters of history. But the archive stopped about mid-1990s. There was just no more. There was just nothing in the archive because everything was digital, and nobody took the time to catalog it or organize it or save it or give it context or do any of that. And that's what worries me about this increasingly digital culture, is that when you don't have something physical to hold on to, it's very easy to lose the digital things that you haven't kept, that you haven't focused on. For example, and I think I've told you guys this, I'm digitizing my family's old VHS tapes here, and it's obviously not every moment in my childhood. I fully acknowledge that. It's selected moments. But I wouldn't know what to do if I had every single moment of my life for the past 25 years recorded on video. I wouldn't know how to approach it. And even if, as you mentioned, we had a computer program that had the ability to look and to filter and keywords and all that, I still think that would be too much. I just think that humans have always selected their history for good or bad. And I'm going to stand by. I think that's the best system. I think we need to be better about it, but I don't think saying it's better to have everything than nothing is not necessarily the right argument. I think that it's okay to be selective in your memory, in the history you choose, in the way you display it and put it out there, because there is such a thing as too much.
Yeah.
But
well, I think, I don't know, like to a certain extent it keeps you sane, maybe. Like, I don't know, if we knew too much, if we could recall too much about like the mistakes we've made or the crappy things we've done.
Oh yes.
Could get like, I don't know, I feel, and I mean, maybe it's I'm sure some people would handle it differently, but I think for myself, like, that would make me like really anxious. And like, there are specific times in like situations I've been in where I certainly like feel in hindsight I made the wrong decision, and like, sure. I don't know if I would, like, I feel like I would be tempted to go back and look at that a lot. Sure. Like often, probably with the hopes that I could like never do that again. But like, I don't know. I feel like I'd end up like, it wouldn't help. It would just make me like anxious about stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Believe me, I have a selected group of VHS tapes that I went through, and there were moments on there that I am not going to ever let anyone see. So, and that was selected. That was limited.
Right.
There may or may not be videotape out there of my sister having put me in a dress and have me dancing around as a 7 or 6 year old, whatever. So, there are certain things that we don't need record of.
Well, I think that's a great example of like what I'm trying to describe. Like, it's because it's in video, like from a different perspective than yours. I mean, even if it was from your like physical perspective, like it's different from like your mind's eye view of this situation. It's like way different than maybe how you like remember that scenario.
You've had that experience with that memory, and it's fine to not look at it. Like you don't probably have no desire to look at that again. So just don't look at it.
No, and you're right. And self-censorship is interesting, that, whether or not that's the right thing to do. But, I think it's okay to have a few of those moments. I think it's not good to have a lot of them, put it that way.
Well, that's just the true statement of life.
And making them easy to delete, too. That's the other thing. If you have a lot of them. We've had this
conversation before. These things are getting harder and harder to delete.
Sure. Absolutely.
True. Well, I mean, I think that's the question, like, at least in our personal lives, but like being able to like forget about stuff is like pretty helpful. Like that's how, I don't know, that's like a normal human psychology thing is like, bad stuff happens or good stuff happens, but whatever. But like, at some point you have to move on from that and like go about the rest of your life. And like, I don't know, if you couldn't forget about anything, if you couldn't actually forget anything, it could get weird.
It could get weird.
But it's not like your brain is being augmented such that it prevents you from forgetting about it. If you had the desire to recall something, you could recall it in greater fidelity than you can now.
Yeah, right.
Right.
I don't know.
So
I think right.
So there you go.
I like when we have this philosophical, these deep discussions. We don't do it often, but they are fun when we do it. And if you're interested in seeing embarrassing moments from my childhood, send us an email, dontpanicshow@gmail.com. And
go to Sean's YouTube channel,
maybe I'll send you.
YouTube.com/Sean an address.
Yes, and maybe we'll send you a copy. Who knows? There were a few moments.
Oh, can that be the next sweepstakes prize?
Is that we're going to give away exclusive access? Yeah, no, believe me, I didn't. There were some moments I'm like, am I sure I want to put this on digital? They can infinitely copy this forever once I do that. On VHS tapes, nobody's got a VHS player. They're basically locked in. But anyway.
They gave them all to you after all.
They
Some
did.
of those get lost.
He'd be like, whoops, I don't know where that went. My bad.
Imagine I pity those I pity those children today whose parents are all posting those videos on Facebook and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, good point.
As you said,
when we were kids, we never went viral. It was a different time.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Things are changing.
We're so old. All right, cool. Well, let's continue on because we've already blown through 45 minutes. Can you believe it? But I want to do one more story before we get to picks because I think we'll get through picks quickly. Is there another story on here you guys want to talk about?
Who's gonna buy Twitter? Is my vote. Colby, do you have a vote?
Or we can do more than that. Yeah. I'm in no rush to go anywhere. So.
No, I'm thinking I'm leaning towards Twitter as well.
Okay, let's talk about who's going to buy Twitter. Twitter is for sale now. I don't think this is a surprise to anyone. They've basically said that's the case. The question is who's going to buy them and for how much. So a lot of rumors going around. Your sort of leading contenders, Google, Microsoft. A lot of rumors going around about Salesforce, which to me makes no sense, but we can talk about that. Disney may also be making a bid. We've also heard Verizon potentially could be putting in a bid. It's an interesting...
Wow, Yahoo and Twitter could be owned by the same company.
And AOL.
That's... And AOL.
It's the trifecta. Remember, Dan, content is king. Which doesn't make any sense if you're Snapchat, because then you just delete it. So, but yeah, it's an interesting thing. I mean, it is a company that is actively doing things, but their revenue just keeps falling quarter after quarter. They really don't seem to have a strategy to stay independent. So the problem is it's going to be very expensive to acquire them. So you're kind of limited in who you can in who can bid for them, who has the cash to put forward. It's not going to be it's going to be one of the big guys. So who do you guys think is going to buy Twitter?
Possible contenders are Disney.
Well, all right, so let's do it this way. Big tech companies, Google, Facebook, which I think is extremely unlikely. Because I think there's just too much overlap. Salesforce.com, there's been rumors around. Microsoft. So those are probably your big tech companies. Then there's your media companies. So your Disney. They would probably be, I mean, sure, Viacom or 20th Century Fox could put in a bid, but Disney's really been the only one that's been rumored. Then there's your telecoms, right, which is your Verizon. Comcast could put in a bid. I haven't heard that, but they're kind of the only other big guy who they own NBC and some tech stuff, so that's possible. And then there's private equity. I think is really the only other big contender, which is just some billionaire with nothing to do with tech just decides to buy it because he thinks he can turn it around. Those are kind of your most likely players. Their market cap puts them at about $16 billion. Now, odds are they'd sell higher, but this isn't a small purchase by any stretch.
That seems insane to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Disney would be the one I'd be most excited about. I'm not sure it's the most likely because I think they have the most. They would. I feel like if Microsoft or Comcast or Verizon buys it, we know what's going to happen. It's going to be nothing's going to happen. Nothing will change. It won't bring them anything except possibly deeper wallets. But and maybe that's true. I don't know why I feel like this about Disney, but it does. I don't know. There could be some cool things there. Currently, in my book, Disney can do no wrong. So.
Well, yeah, they're on a bit of a hit streak. That is for sure.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
I think I kind of feel the same way. Like if Google bought Twitter and they were just absorbed into the gigantic internet-y conglomerate that is Google.
Yeah.
It would just, like Google has so many like disparate and like kind of unrelated parts to it that it would just be another one of those things. But I feel like if a company like Disney bought it, they would have something in mind, like
right,
something, right? Like they wouldn't do it unless they had. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't feel like that's a thing that Disney does. Like, they don't just randomly buy things to like have them around. They would do it with some intent behind it. Like, oh, we can buy Twitter and like change it this way to be like Disney-y, or I don't know. Mm-hmm. That was super hand wavy, but
I think you're. So my prediction, I mean, I think your most likely options are Google or Disney, and I say those two because I don't think any of the other rumors particularly make sense. Microsoft just spent $1 zillion on LinkedIn. I don't think they really need to buy Twitter. I think that would be a step too far. I don't think Salesforce, the synergy doesn't make any sense there. I don't see Verizon putting up the cash because unlike AOL or Yahoo, Twitter doesn't actually generate content themselves. So, and that's why, and they don't have a particularly robust ad network. So I don't think there's any value in Verizon wanting anything. Google, I think, is interesting because they have the cash to do it and they've sucked at social to date. And I think, if they can pretty turnkey get this integrated into YouTube and Google Plus and across their platform, I think that would be a lot of value for them. Never mind the search opportunities within Twitter as well. And the fact that Google has such a good ad operation, I think they could put a lot of juice into what Twitter can't do. And I think Disney makes sense. Disney is an interesting piece because Disney is and I'm stealing this from the Verge article. I don't know these things off the top of my head, but Disney is involved in a lot of technology. They have investments in Hulu, Vice. If you don't know BAMTech, they're the company that powers all of the MLB streaming, all of the NHL streaming. They're a huge tech company.
Is that the same company that does HBO Go? Isn't that a thing I've heard that MLB and HBO Go are the same?
Yep, they power all that back end. They're the best in the business at it. And Disney owns a chunk of them. They own, digital cable assets with ESPN and ABC. And interestingly enough, and I did not know this, Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey is on Disney's board of directors.
Huh.
Interestingly enough. So I think the problem for Disney would be price. I think it's a little pricier than most. You have to remember we're talking in the realm of 4 or 5 Lucas films here, in terms of them buying Twitter. So it's a little
really.
Well, yeah.
How many Instagrams is that, and how many WhatsApps?
That would be about 16. Well, if I remember my number, it's about 16 YouTubes. If you remember when YouTube was bought, but that was a lot with inflation. I don't know what that is today. It was a long time ago. What was WhatsApp? I don't remember.
20 billion?
Was it? So it would be approaching that number. That's crazy. And I don't remember what Instagram was. Was that
1 billion?
Instagram was 1 billion.
Okay. Yeah, so it would be about 16, 18, 20 of those.
Yeah, I feel like Instagrams are an easy one to
That's
do math
cheap.
with.
That's cheap in retrospect, because YouTube was also about a little over $1 billion, which was crazy at the time.
Right.
In retrospect, that was a good bargain.
Right.
We do laugh when Snapchat says, "Oh, so and so company offered us $2 billion and we turned it down," and we say, "You're crazy. You should have taken it." And then we're like, "Well, maybe."
Maybe not.
But then again, there are a lot of failed companies we don't remember who were also offered. Yahoo offered to buy Google, and they offered to buy all these companies before they got big, and so I don't know. But yeah, I think it's. My prediction is it's not going to happen in 2016. I don't think there's a rush on this. I think Twitter is going to wait until they get a really good offer, and I don't think anybody on day one is going to put in a particularly good offer. That's my prediction. And Twitter is not going bankrupt. They're not out of money. They are profitable. They're just their stock is lagging, and they think they can do better by being bought. So I didn't
realize that they are profitable.
It's not
cool.
huge.
Yeah.
It's not.
Sure. No, but I feel like just being able to pay your bills is a pretty big step in a gigantic business.
What worries me is when all of these content deals they've been striking are going to start coming in. Most of those you don't pay the whole thing up front. You pay it over time. Netflix has this problem. Whatever zillion dollars they promised to the NFL and some of these content deals, it's going to get worse before it gets better. And I think that's why they're looking to sell now and not later. So, their user growth is stagnant. We've talked about this on the show. So, I don't know. I think it'll be interesting, but let's say for a second it's Google or Disney. What do they do with Twitter once they buy it? I mean, do they change it radically? Do they let it run on its own? How do they integrate it with their services?
Well, I think like the streaming stuff is. Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. Twitter, from what I've seen of Twitter streaming UI, Twitter could be Twitch for everything else.
Sure.
Like you get the live commentary on the right-hand side, and then the content, like taking up most of the screen.
Sure.
That is what people who watch Twitch, by and large, want. They like that experience. And you could have, if Twitter can make deals with, like, especially sports stuff, like real sports, that could be pretty big. So taking the idea of the real-time social communication up a notch.
Yeah, and it really comes down to, is Twitter a media content play or is it a technology play? And that I think it comes down to that, because if you're Google, you want metrics and you want ads and you don't care what content they stream, you just want to make sure it's integrated in all your Google products. If you're Disney, all you care about is the content and what are they streaming and how do you get eyeballs on there, and how do you integrate all of the ESPN, ABC, Lucasfilm, Marvel, blah 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 smack into Twitter. And I don't know which is better for Twitter in the long term, but definitely different directions, assuming those are the two. But I think those are really the only two plays you have on Twitter.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I wonder maybe how successful their various streaming endeavors, like the debates and or like the NFL stuff are. Maybe that will determine who is eventually interested enough to do this.
Sure.
Because if it's going really well, I could see, a media company Comcast or something or Disney being more interested than the Microsofts of the world, who a company that has stuff that they could put through it, being more interested than a company that would just glue them onto their hodgepodge of stuff.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see, and I promise that if they do get bought by somebody, you'll hear about it here, not first, probably last even, but we will talk about it. You betcha, that's what we do here. All right, well, we are out of time on news, but that's okay, because we've got picks, and we've got some good ones this week. I'm excited. I will go first, because mine is quite quick this week. I know for a fact on the show, gosh, I didn't even look at how far back. It's got to be way back that we picked Dark Sky, which is an excellent app. Oh, here we go. We picked it back on, oh my goodness, on July of 2013. That
One
might,
of our first
Wow.
picks.
show number 7. Show number 7. So it is pretty much there.
Dark
it
Sky
is-
has aged pretty well.
It
too.
has, and it's a really good app, and I still use it. It is my primary weather app. I use it all the time. It's really good for those super local forecasts, and it's beautiful to look at. Anyway, they recently redesigned their web page, if you're not using your phone, at darksky.net. And again, it gives you the very local forecast, especially over the next hour. And then they give you, of course, the weather over the next week, and it's designed just as nicely as the app. And what I like is they have a feature called the Time Machine, where you can see the weather past or future. And if it's the past, they tell you what the weather was on that day, or in the future, they estimate what it will be. And you can go to pretty far back, and they'll on September 9th, 2015, in Houston, it was 88 degrees. So I don't know, not very useful, but it's cool. So. And it's free, and so check it out. If you're on your computer looking for weather information, try it, darksky.net.
That's cool. I mostly use Weather Underground for my weather because I like all the they have an a ridiculous amount of detail. Not only on the weather forecast, but they also have sunset and sunrise and last light and all that stuff that ends up being useful if you ride your bike to work and need to know if you need to bring your lights with you so you don't get run over riding home at night and stuff like that.
Definitely for weather nerds, yeah.
Yeah. But I have Dark Sky on my phone because it sends those amazing notifications right before it starts raining.
It's like magic. It's awesome.
That's the best.
It is pretty great.
I mean, it hasn't rained very much in the past 3 months, but I love it when I'll get I'll be in my apartment and get a notification, and then I start hearing the pitter patter on my AC out the window. Mm-hmm. It's the best.
Very good.
Nice.
All right. Who wants to go next?
I can go next.
Fair enough. What do you got? What do you got for us to watch this week?
All right. I am on episode 2. Oh, did we already recommend this on this show? Because I got it from somewhere a long time ago. Okay.
I don't think so.
I am on episode 2 of a show on Netflix from the BBC called Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. It's difficult to explain. It's sort of so it's I don't know. I feel aren't there other shows that have this trope of magic went away from the world, but now it's back? I guess Game of Thrones has this a little bit. So it's imagine a setting like Downton Abbey where there's this history of magic, but it was gone hundreds of years ago, but now someone walks in who can do magic again, and that's sort of the premise of the show. And after finishing Stranger Things, I've now finally found another show that I can watch a couple here and there and get some enjoyment out of. So I think it's pretty good. It's no Stranger Things, but it's pretty entertaining so far. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell streaming free on Netflix.
Cool.
So I am both on the last episode of this and the last episode of Stranger Things.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot of strange in your life.
Yeah.
All at the same time. But I can confirm Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell gets better. It's pretty good.
Okay, cool. How are you liking Stranger Things?
Also very good. Yeah, I like it.
Cool. And by the way, I had the reason I know that is because I had a coworker actually recommended the book to me that it's based on, which is apparently also very good. And I have not read it, but
Stranger Things or
Doctor Strange. No, Mr. Strange. Senor Strange, whatever his name is. Yeah. Yes, the book of the same name that it's based on. Very cool. All right, something for you to watch. Now we got something for you to download, Colby. I know this pick well. I use it all the time. It's excellent.
Nice. Yeah, so when I got my iPad, the new iPad with the pencil, I did a bunch of looking around for a note-taking app. And I think the best one I found is also probably the top ranked one on the App Store. It's called Notability. and I have a hard time like describing exactly why it's good. Like for the Apple Pencil specifically, I think the writing experience is really good. It doesn't have some of the cool bells and whistles that I would like. There are other apps that have amazing handwriting recognition, but the note taking is absolutely terrible. So it's like, no, there's no, it just doesn't make sense. Like, I'm not going to use this. Like, I hate using this to write. Like, it doesn't do like palm detection or whatever. And so like you end up with all random marks as you're writing, and it's that's kind of like, I don't know, it's just junk. Like it's nice that it has cool handwriting recognition, but the note taking experience isn't great. So Notability's note taking is really excellent, I think. You can do everything you'd want to do. I think they added, I think these are new recently, either that or I just found out about them, but they added ways to like you can draw like straight lines. So if you draw a line and then just hold down at the end, it like pops into a straight line, which is really cool. So you can like draw things like that, which I think is really nice. They also have a Mac version too, so that's pretty convenient if you have a Mac. So I'll often like do like brainstorming on my iPad, and then like for work stuff, and like later when I'm at work, I won't take my iPad to work, but I can bring up all this stuff on my Mac later. It does cost some dollars, I believe. It's $7.99, which is, or the iOS version is $7.99. They don't charge separately for the iPad and the iPhone ones, which is good. So it's a little expensive on the, I guess you'd say on the expensive side for an app. Like, this isn't expensive for what it does. It's a pretty legit piece of software, I've found. But yeah, I like it. So if you're in the market for anything like that, I'd recommend it. I don't know. Do you have any other like thoughts on it or pro tips?
I would say the reason I really like it is it's really the Swiss Army knife of note-taking tools. Like, it's not really good at any one thing. It's just pretty good at a lot of things. Like, I use it more for text notes, because you can just type in notes into it. It's really flex, and then you can highlight and cross stuff out and draw on the text. It's really flexible in that respect, which is why I really like it. And then the pen motions are pretty good. I'm sure, as you've seen when you're taking notes. So, if you're really looking for something, as you said, with like great handwriting recognition, or really, this isn't for you, but if you just want something that's really kind of multifunctional to just throw all your thoughts in, whether you're drawing them or handwriting them or typing them or highlighting them or whatever, this is a good way to do it. And you're right, it does sync pretty well with other stuff. So,
yeah. I'm like secretly hoping that someday they'll get around to like doing handwriting recognition or something like that.
Yep.
Which I think would be, just that'd just be gravy at this point. Like, this really does what I need it to do. And so if it can only get better, really.
Yep.
I guess it could get worse, but I don't expect that it will get worse.
Indeed. Notability, check it out on the iOS and Mac app stores. Very good, gentlemen. That's it. Our first Wednesday show, and gosh darn it, we survived.
Yeah, go team.
Go team. I couldn't agree. Well, I certainly want to take this opportunity to thank according to we didn't get to the story about Facebook inflating their numbers, but they're telling us 406 people were reached by us this evening. Who knows? That could be 4 or 400 or 4 million. I don't know. But to all the people who did watch us live on Facebook, thank you. We appreciate it. We normally do the show Monday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central on our Facebook page at facebook.com/don'tpanicshow. But the best way to find out if we do it Monday or Wednesday or any other day or at any other time is to like the page, because I'm told that if you like the page, there's a good chance you get a notification when we do go live. And you can do that, again, at facebook.com/don'tpanicshow. But if you can't watch us live, because I know some people, go to bed because they have to go to work in the morning, you can get all the recorded versions, audio and video, on the website, don'tpanic.io. Go there. All the episodes and links to our picks, if you didn't follow closely, the URLs will be on the page as well. And of course, you can follow us on most major podcasting sources like iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and in most major apps. And of course, on social media at Don't Panic Show on Twitter, and I mentioned the Facebook link. And, of course, don't forget YouTube, the video version, HD 720p. You can see our beautiful faces at youtube.com/Don't Panic Show. Okay, guys, anything else this evening before we wrap? We're going to be back next Wednesday? Or next Monday. We're going to be back Monday.
Yeah, Monday.
I'm not trying to confuse anybody, but...
Correct. I hope there's enough news between now and then.
We'll make up... Actually, we didn't get to half the stories in the rundown anyway, so I think we'll make it work. And I guess I will use this opportunity to plug Up for Debate. And the reason I want to plug that is because we're doing a new show tomorrow night. It will be live on that Facebook page at facebook.com/UpForDebateTV at about, 7:30 Eastern? Or no, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. And guys, we're talking about one of the best things in life. Sandwiches. We have Phil Lopez is going to join us, and we are going to talk about anything you can put between two slices of bread. We're going to talk about it. So join us live then, or of course after the fact on our website, upfordebate.tv. So a little plug for you there. Do you guys have a particularly favorite sandwich?
Thanksgiving sandwich.
Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to write that down to make sure we talk about it.
Pro tip for Thanksgiving sandwiches, at least if you live in the Northeast, D'Angelo's, the sandwich place, the Toasted Sandwich Company, they have a Thanksgiving sandwich that is available 365 days a year.
Crazy. That's crazy.
And it's good. It's not like a weird spin on a Thanksgiving sandwich. It's exactly a Thanksgiving sandwich, and you can get it every day.
You can get it on the 4th of July. You can get it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Anytime. And so the reason I know this is my work is directly adjacent to a mall food court. It's in the building next to the mall. So like we have easy access to a mall food court, and there's a D'Angelo's there. And when I first started working there, it was in the fall, and so it was like seasonally appropriate. And I got this, and my coworkers were like, "Oh my God, is that a Thanksgiving sandwich?" And so like everyone I work with now just goes to the D'Angelo's and gets these Thanksgiving sandwiches. And for a long time, we were really concerned that it was gonna go away because we didn't know. We weren't like D'Angelo's regulars. I had just moved back from California. And it was like, Thanksgiving going into Christmas. And eventually one of my coworkers just asked the people, he was like, "Is the Thanksgiving sandwich going to go away?" And they were like, "No."
Wow.
It was the best day ever.
I like how if Dan is our fashion trendsetter, then Colby is our sandwich trendsetter. He's our food trendsetter.
There's also, so near my house is the greatest sandwich place I've ever been to. I go multiple times a week because it's too good to not be going.
It's that good.
It's amazing. Yeah. Okay. It's just local. You can't go there unless you come visit me. There's only one.
Well, I don't need an excuse to come visit you, but now you've given me one, so...
Yeah.
But Colby, I'm here and I want to go get a sandwich. Very good. Cool. Well, we can look forward to that. And, of course, we will be back next Monday with more tech news. So on behalf of Colby and Dan, this is Sean, thanking all of you for joining us, and hoping we'll see you next time for even more exciting tech news and talk of sandwiches here on Don't Panic.